Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Chaotic Manifest. Oh, okay. I haven't recorded any videos in a while. I've been kind of playing games on my own because I've been doing some emulation of things. I have a PS3 and I have a lot of games, but I also have the old chunky PS3, which sounds like a jet engine whenever I turn it on. So I try not to use it too much, especially not during the summer when it's already hot as hell outside. And I don't need it to get hotter inside and run my AC even more. Um, so I've been playing some PS3 titles and PS2 titles as well. Uh because it's just easier to do that on the computer. Just to like go back over some stuff and do some nostalgic stuff and try some other stuff. In particular, I'm talking about the Ar Tonelico series. Now, a lot of people may not know what Ar Tonelico is. It's pretty niche. Very Japanese minded RPGs. They did all come out in the US. There's the three mainline games, which is Ar Tonelico, Ar Tonelico 2, and Ar Tonelico Quoga, which is 3. And then there's a couple of offshoots. Ar no Surge. I have Ode to an Unborn Star, but apparently there's another one, and I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. But I just finished Quoga, and I played the first two, and I have very fond memories of the first one. There's a lot of translation issues because it is like an early kind of PS2 title, and it's like I said, it's very Japanese. But I enjoy it very much, and the mechanics of the game and the battle system being turn based and all that was very nostalgic. And I enjoyed it. Like the series itself is fairly suggestive, but the first one is the most tame. The second one I have some issues with because there's a lot more backtracking later on, but it's manageable and it does tell you where to go. The third one I have huge issues with because it makes you backtrack a tremendous amount of times. There's one area I went to no less than 10 times, I think, and you have to travel through the whole place and you have to fight enemies or you have to get into encounters because unlike the first two games, the third game does not give you an item to deplete your encounter meter, which basically shows like how many enemies you have to fight before that empties out. It's awful. There are so many good things about that game. Like all of the games have good music. There's a lot of witty banter and dialogue, although I do have issues. Also, I apologize. This is not going to be a shorts. Well, it might be. I don't know. I might qualify for 10-minute shorts, but I see we're coming up on 3 minutes, but I still have a lot to say about this game. Quoga is disappointing. Partially because the first two games use a turn-based battle system. The first one is just straight up you go there. It's got like a Final Fantasy X-esque, or I guess there's a few games that have like the bar at the top with the profile pictures of each of the fighters, basically. That tells you exactly what order everybody's going to go in, so you can strategize around that. And most of the battle system revolves around you fighting the enemy with your main units, while you have a Raventail, which is basically a magical songstress, in the back, charging up either damaging or healing magic. And generally, the way the game works is your frontline fighters protect them and do damage while the Raventail builds up a huge stinky blast and blows everything away. But you could feasibly just kill stuff with your frontliners too in that game. The second game, kind of similar, except instead of everybody having a set turn, you have an ally phase where you have a little timer, and in that time, you can attack as many times as you want with your frontliners as long as like you have time left in the timer. And then the enemy phase is just them attacking you and your Raventail companion, and you have to press buttons to block it. It's pretty innovative. It's interesting. The third game is I think that they were trying to follow in the footsteps of like the Tales games and other action RPGs where you get into a fight and you run around the field and do like attacks and skills and stuff, except it's really fucking boring because In the entire game, you get 4 special attacks, and they're pretty slow to fire off, and 1 ultimate attack, which is almost impossible to get because you need very specific materials that you get either from monster drops or from other things, from shops or synthesizing other materials. And the only one I ever synthesized was the one for the main character, partially because by the time I got to that point, I was ready to be done with the game. But honestly, if Quoga didn't have enemy fights, I probably would have finished it like 10 hours faster. Like, I shit you not. So much of that game is fighting. It's ridiculous. And it's annoying because, like I said, the first 2 games have an item, generally, that lets you empty out the enemy gauge, which essentially makes it so you run into no enemies in that area for the time that you're there. For some reason, the third game does not have that. The only good grace is that you can 100% run away from every single fight. That's not a boss fight. But the problem with that is you still have to deal with the animation of starting the fight and other things happening, and then you can run away. But then you're probably going to run into an encounter 5 seconds later. So, and the third game, really, your main characters do like super piddly damage, and basically the whole gameplay loop of the battle is to fight long enough that your Ravatail gets a huge nuke ready and then blow everything away. That's it. Like, your frontliners almost do not matter in this case. They're just kind of there to help get... Okay, there's another thing about the third one also. A lot of it sounds like it was written by a teenager. It's very edgy and weird and more overtly sexual than the other 2, which is awkward because I don't know. It just is. Like, the first 2 games touched on stuff like, and you have to do things with the Ravatails that's kind of a parallel to doing sexy things with them, but it's not. In the second one, you also have them take baths to get stronger, but that's even not like overly sexualized. It's just a little mini game you do. In the third one, in order to get the most potential out of your Ravatails, you do something in the battle called purging, and there's 3 levels of purging. Well, technically it's 4, but the 4th level just does the big attack. And every time they purge, they lose some clothing, but their meter that builds up the power for their song magic speeds up. So you're essentially, the gameplay loop is getting into a fight, stripping the girls, and blasting the enemy. And let me tell you, that sounds cool, but after the 1,000th time, you're kind of tired of seeing these girls' animation of their clothes coming off. You can shorten it, but you can't technically get rid of it completely. And let me tell you, it certainly made the game unfun after a while, because you're like, oh boy, this is just, like, you can't just beat up enemies unless they're incredibly weak compared to you. But every new area you go to, you have to rely on the Ravatail's big stinky blast to clear all the enemies. And the final boss was annoying because it was just, you had to do that like 4 to 5 times, like the big blast, because that was just a part of it. And I'm like, wow, this is the least engaging. You just walk or run around, hit things for a while, and then do the blast. Like, there wasn't even really any strategy. I just threw healing items and whacked things for a while. So I have a lot. I have a lot of issues with the third one. It's definitely the weakest. It's, I don't know, like, it's something about the shift to 3D and all that, like, took a lot of life out of the game. Like, the 2D actual, like, anime portraits of the people still look really good. There's, like, little cutscenes and stuff. The synthesis, in the other games, you synthesize stuff and you had little scenes with the people who were helping create items with you, and there was banter, and that was pretty good. But I'd say like half of the dialogue was really good and well thought out and pretty witty, and the other half was just like unnecessary or over sexualized and weird. So yeah, sorry, this was almost 10 minutes long, but I spent almost 40 hours playing this game to get one ending. There are 5 endings, maybe 6. I got the bad ending the first time, and I was like, oh, cool. That's great. And then I got the true ending for one of the characters, and I'm like, I'm not doing any of the others. So yeah, I will probably record myself playing the first and second games to put them on YouTube for posterity, unless there is a huge influx of people wanting to see it. the third will not happen. That's just my experience. But yeah, thanks for being here.